So, what exactly comes to mind when you hear the word football? I mean, for some of you, it's all about helmets, shoulder pads, and these explosive bone crunching collisions, right? But for others, it's shin guards, cleats, and 90 minutes of just nonstop fluid running. It's honestly the ultimate global debate, a massive linguistic tug of war over one single, highly coveted word. Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to act as your ultimate bilingual dictionary for both the pitch and the gridiron. We're demystifying the terminology of the world's two most popular sports that, just so happen to share the exact same name. So whether you call it soccer, association football, or American football, we're going to break down the language that makes these games so incredibly captivating. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with a tale of two footballs, then move into gridiron grit and tactics. After that, we'll cross the pond for the beautiful game's flair and wrap it all up with some cheeky slang and culture. All right, let's jump straight into section 1, a tale of two footballs, the fundamental divide. Before we get into the heavy jargon, we really need to understand how the actual structure of these two sports dictates the language we use. So American football is highly structured. It's a game of set pieces defined by discrete start and stop plays that always begin at a fixed point on the field. Association football, or soccer, on the other hand, is all about continuous flow. It's this unbroken game defined by transitions. That's basically the phase when a team shifts from having possession of the ball to losing it, all without the referee ever blowing a whistle. So think of one as a game of explosive chess moves and the other as a fluid, nonstop dance. Moving right along to Section 2, Gridiron Grit and Tactics, Anatomy of a Play. What's really interesting about American football is how that start and stop action creates a highly specific sequence of tactical moments. Every single battle on the gridiron starts right here, the line of scrimmage. Think of it like a temporary invisible border wall that extends from the football all the way to the sidelines. Neither team is legally allowed to cross this imaginary line until the ball is snapped and the play officially begins. It is literally the epicenter of the impending collision. Now, the second that ball is snapped, the most critical job belongs to the O-line, short for the offensive line. These are the 5 massive players lined up directly in front of the quarterback. And here's the thing. According to the rules, these guys typically aren't even allowed to catch passes or run the ball. Nope, their absolute sole purpose is to act as human shields, blocking the defense and keeping their quarterback safe from harm. So, the crucial point here is how these 5 players operate together. As the play begins, the offensive linemen actually move backward to form a protective horseshoe-like shape around the quarterback. This physical sanctuary is called the pocket. The entire goal of the offensive line is just to maintain the integrity of this pocket, buying the quarterback those precious few seconds they need to scan the field and throw the ball. But hey, the defense obviously isn't just going to sit back and let the quarterback get comfortable, right? And this brings us to the blitz. A blitz is a high-risk, high-reward tactical strike. It's when the defense sends more rushers than normal to absolutely overwhelm the O-line. They basically want to destroy that pocket before the quarterback even has a chance to react. Let's see how this builds to the climax of a play. When a blitz is actually successful, 3 things happen in rapid succession. First, the pocket collapses. Second, the quarterback is forced to scramble, meaning they run out of the pocket in sheer desperation to avoid those incoming defenders. And third, if they don't escape in time, they suffer a sack. That means they are tackled behind the line of scrimmage while still holding the football. It's a massive loss of yardage and just a huge victory for the defense. Now, outside of the standard offense and defense, there's a third phase of the game called special teams, which handles kicking plays. And I gotta say, the terminology here is brilliantly evocative. On one hand, you have the perfectly executed coffin corner kick. This is a punt precisely angled to bounce out of bounds right near the opponent's end zone, basically pinning them deep in their own territory. On the other hand, you have the disastrous muff. That's when a receiving player touches a kicked ball but completely fails to grab it. It just bounces right off them, creating this chaotic, free-for-all loose ball that can instantly turn the tide of an entire game. Okay, let's switch gears. Section 3, the beautiful game's flair, tactical philosophies. Now that we've survived the gridiron, let's cross the Atlantic. Association football relies on fluid, continuous play, and they actually use numbers as a shorthand for highly specific player roles. For instance, a number 6 isn't necessarily wearing the digit 6 on their back. It means they're the defensive midfielder, the anchor of the team. Think of someone like Spain's Rodri. A number 8 is your box-to-box engine, just constantly shuttling between attack and defense. The number 10 is the creative attacking playmaker, epitomized by Diego Maradona. And then you have the false 9, a role really made famous by Lionel Messi. Instead of staying high up the pitch like a traditional striker, which would be a true number 9, the false 9 drops deep into the midfield, completely confusing the opponent's defensive line. How all these players interact brings us to the grand tactical philosophies of the game. Perhaps the most famous in modern times is tiki-taka. Coined by Spanish broadcaster Andres Montes, tiki-taka is this incredible possession-based style pioneered by Barcelona and the Spanish national team. It relies on short, incredibly quick passing, fluid movement, and spatial awareness rather than brute physicality. Watching it, it's honestly like watching the ball being pinballed around the pitch, completely mesmerizing the opposition. But here's the thing, tiki-taka actually owes its DNA to an earlier innovation, total football. Developed by the Dutch in the 1970s under Rinus Michels and Johan Cruyff, the crucial point of total football is that any outfield player can fluidly take over the role of any other player on the pitch. So if a defender runs forward to attack, a midfielder naturally drops back to cover the defense. It requires incredibly intelligent, versatile athletes and makes man-to-man marking nearly impossible for the opposing team. Of course, for every attacking philosophy, there is a defensive countermeasure. Enter catenaccio, and this is a lovely etymological Easter egg. It literally translates from Italian as door bolt. Developed in the mid-20th century, catenaccio is a ruthlessly organized system designed specifically to prioritize defensive solidity, absorb pressure, and then strike back with lethal counterattacks. It is the ultimate park-the-bus strategy, turning the penalty box into an absolute impenetrable fortress.
All right, final stop. Section 4. Cheeky slang and culture. The fans' lexicon.
Okay, let's move out of the manager's dugout and up into the stands. To truly understand the beautiful game, you need to speak the vibrant language of the fans. And we just have to start with this absolute gem from legendary manager Sir Alex Ferguson, squeaky bum time. Yes, believe it or not, it's actually in the dictionary now. It vividly describes those incredibly tense, nerve-wracking final stages of a match or a season, when the title is on the line and every single mistake could spell absolute disaster. You can practically hear the nervous shifting in the stadium seats. The slang perfectly captures the emotional extremes of watching a match. Take a nutmeg, for example. That is pure joy for the fans. It's when an attacker cheekily passes the ball straight through a defender's legs, leaving them looking completely humiliated. Conversely, a hospital pass is, well, wince-inducing. It's a terribly weak pass that forces the receiving teammate to stretch for the ball, putting them at immediate risk of a crunching tackle from an oncoming defender. One makes you cheer, the other makes you literally cover your eyes. Fans also have their own language for the business side of the sport. For instance, you might hear a commentator say a player is going on a Bosman. This refers to Jean-Marc Bosman, an obscure Belgian player who actually sued his club back in 1990. He ended up winning his case at the European Court of Justice in 1995, creating a massive landmark ruling. Ever since that day, players can freely leave for a new club without a transfer fee once their contract expires. It completely, utterly revolutionized the financial power dynamic of global soccer. Just to round out your matchday vocabulary, let's fire through some absolute essentials. If a defender panic clears the ball high up into the stadium seats, they've kicked it into row Z. If a shot hits the goalpost, it's hit the woodwork. If a striker misses a glaringly easy, wide-open goal shot, they've missed an absolute sitter. But if they launch a powerful, long-range rocket into the net, that is a screamer. And if that screamer hits the upper corner of the goal, that's top bins. Finally, if the team plays terribly, they might get the hairdryer treatment, meaning the manager is screaming in their faces so closely in the locker room, it literally feels like a hot hairdryer. So whether you're watching a quarterback scramble out of a collapsing pocket to avoid a sack, or watching a false nine orchestrate a beautiful sequence of tiki-taka before slotting the ball top bins, you now have the vocabulary to see the matrix of these amazing sports. The jargon isn't just terminology, you know? It's the history, the tactics, and the culture of the games we love. So the absolutely crucial question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you speak the language, are you finally ready for match day?